I mean, a ripoff doesn't have to look exactly like the original for it to be a ripoff. But in Rob's defense, he does go on to make some stronger arguments. Liefeld was a huge fan of both Spider-Man and Wolverine, but in the 80s and 90s, titles with either an X or a spider in the title were considered top tier down at Marvel, and not just anybody was allowed to write them. And protocol was kind of strict on which characters you were allowed to use. For example, Chris Claremont, probably the most famous X-Men writer ever, wanted the demon Nightmare to be the father of Nightcrawler. He wasn't allowed to use Nightmare, however, because he was a Doctor Strange villain. The same rules applied to Liefeld, who wasn't allowed to randomly feature Spidey and Wolverine in his comics. According to the artist, he came up with alternatives. Cable, who just like Wolverine was a stoic, no-nonsense anti-hero, and Deadpool, who was agile, thin, and annoyingly chatty like Spider-Man. He did give them some unique traits to separate them from their progenitors. Guns. Lots of guns.
Let me tell you how it went. Hey guys, Todd McFarlane is kind of blown up on Spider-Man. I need a Spider-Man in my book. Are we clear? Okay.
The character was designed to be a combination of Spider-Man and Punisher. Rob wanted a thin character who could bounce around Cable and fight in a different way and had big guns and knives and swords.
I also like Wolverine. He's my favorite character. Can I tie him into Wolverine's origin? So can I do Spider-Man with guns and knives? Whatever you want to do, Liefeld. Yeah!
As a matter of fact, Marvel cleverly alluded to this history in Ultimate X-Men issue 75, where Cable is revealed to be a time-traveling Wolverine from the future. Liefeld states that he was often goaded by Todd McFarlane over the fact that he had to repeatedly draw complex faces, while McFarlane, who was providing art for The Amazing Spider-Man, got away with quickly drawing a mask for the main character. This inspired Liefeld to make one of his characters a masked figure, basically Spider-Man with katanas and guns. And if you look at some art, like the cover of Amazing Spider-Man 214, Deadpool's mask does kind of look like Spider-Man when he's squinting. Deadpool has even at times been mistaken for the friendly neighborhood Spider-Man.
This thing only goes to 11, so beat it, Spider-Man.
God, I should have asked NSYNC.
That's how it went according to Rob. And to be honest, I believe him. Why? It's simple. If he can admit that Deadpool was based off another character, he wouldn't need to lie about which character it was. Especially since, as Nicieza pointed out, Deathstroke can easily be called a copy of a pre-existing Marvel character, Taskmaster. Think about it. Blue and orange color scheme, swashbuckler-style boots, a preference for bladed weapons, both European-themed as opposed to Deadpool's Japanese katanas, and they're both highly in-demand assassins for hire. The reason they're so similar? Both were designed by late artist George Perez. But there are also enough differences between them, which is probably why Deathstroke's never been called a Taskmaster ripoff. So, if Liefeld lied about ripping off Deathstroke, he would have lied about ripping off Spider-Man and claimed that Deadpool was an entirely original character. There is one DC character that has much more in common with Deadpool than even Deathstroke does: Ambush Bug. When Joe Kelly wrote Deadpool's ongoing series, he decided to flesh out the character. Deadpool breaking the fourth wall, his incessant bantering, most of his cast of supporting characters like Blind Al, Weasel. We have Joe Kelly to thank for all that. It was his writing that helped turn Deadpool into the wacky, surreal character we know and love today. And here's the similarities between Deadpool and Ambush Bug. They both know they're in a comic and repeatedly break the fourth wall. They're both comic relief characters, both possess a personal teleportation device, and both annoy the heck out of A-list heroes. So, while there might have been seeds of Deathstroke sown to plant the idea of Deadpool, he grew into his own man, one with his own personality, convictions, and adventures. And at the end of the day, that's the most important thing. What does the character bring to the table on their own? And Deadpool brings plenty. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe.